Hello everyone, and welcome to Question Time, our live show that we do each Wednesday when we can, where we answer your questions that you may have regarding games development, Unreal 4, 5, whatever it is you're doing. Basically, open book, you can ask any question you like in the hour or so that we'll be doing this live. If you don't know what this is, all you have to do is put your question into chat, and I'll try and catch as many as I can within the hour. If I do miss your question, don't worry, just put it in again, and I'll try and catch it the next time it goes round. As much as I can. But hello everyone, I can see we've got in chat here, we've got Pollinator, Asmed, Flying Epigene, Jeff, hello, my name is Jeff, Lloyd, hello, Quintus, Agor, hello, how are we all doing? Quintus, I just replied to your comment on YouTube. So, for those who are wondering, Quatrus asked, when is the inventory system, UE5 one, going to be able to persist across levels? And that's the saving and loading system, and you'll see that in the next, I think it's the next episode. But yeah. But we are in Unreal 5 today. I think this is the first question time in 5, I think. Yeah, I think it is. But yeah. We'll see how we get on with it. Hopefully it's all okay. So far so good. Anyway, let's see what questions we got going on here. Lloyd Alvarado, how would a simple theme park AI work? Like just an actor that walks around sitting at various rides? I mean, hard to say. I haven't not worked on a like theme park or Sim City type game, so it's hard to say for certain. But there are going to be underlying AI going on, be it AI working in clusters and rather than just individual actors. There could be like groups of people that it's actually controlling. Hard to know for certain. Unless I go ahead and try and make one. But yeah, essentially it is just AI going around and they're given personality traits, things they can and can't do and things they want, and they go around and do it. Basically all it is, yeah. Question from the Pollinator, what is your favorite new thing in UE5's interface? The content drawer is always at the bottom. It takes a bit of getting used to, but that being there is really useful. So for example, like if I go into actually into this blueprint here, okay. So if I'm going in here and I go to this mesh and I want to see where the content for this mesh is, I can click the icon here to browse for the mesh and it'll just come up at the bottom rather than take out this screen and go back to the content browser, which is what 4 does. It just saves a bit of time. But unless you've got a multi-monitor setup, where I will usually have my content browser on the other monitor anyway. But this does make that a bit nicer. It is just right there. Makes it very quick and easy just to drag and drop it in if I want to. Yeah. I think I like that the most out of the Unreal 5 UI. What is sorry, Mr. Honey Badger, what's the best way to learn nodes? Okay, so as you're all well aware, Unreal Engine is full of nodes. It's impossible to learn them all. Okay, that's the first thing to understand, is that you do not try to learn them all. There's way too many. It's impossible. Don't try it. But there are common ones that you'll be using time and time again, and they're the ones you will learn because you're just using them more often. So the only ways really are to learn these nodes is to experiment and keep playing around with it. But to that point is like, how do you find new nodes? How do you find the nodes that you didn't know about? So whenever you're querying, like for example, if I've got a problem with a bit of code and I want to know how to achieve something, I don't know, whatever it may be. Let's say I want to find something about my camera. Okay, so I've got my camera here and I want to drag this out like this. So long as I've got context sensitive ticked on here, it's only going to show me stuff relevant to the follow camera. So variables and functions that the follow camera can actually access. So I can search here for a keyword that I want to do. So if I want to do something like focus, Not focus. FOV. No. Field of view. There you go. Field of view. I can access all the field of view options. I can see what ones I want to use and see what they do. And if I don't know what they do, I can just hover my mouse over them. It generally will tell me sometimes what they do. Yeah. So type in keywords of things you want to learn about and try and find. And failing that, if you want to find something like, let's say you've got a string, okay? And you want to know what you can do with a string. Oh. What you can do in here is just type in string, and it will just give you everything inside the string category. So all this stuff in the string, these all the functions relate to strings. So you can then go through and read them and see what one matches close enough to what you want to try and do. That's how you learn new nodes. Okay? And it is literally just experimenting, playing around with it, and you will discover new nodes all the time. I'm still discovering new nodes. Things that are like, oh, that saves a lot of time. I can just do that node instead of making my own thing or whatever it may be. You learn these little things as you develop. So the only real solution to it is just to keep making stuff. And don't ever stop. Just keep making stuff over and over and over again, and you'll eventually just pick up some key favorites of yours that you want to use, like tried and tested ones that you liked. Victor NR, what's the secret behind your intro and outro song? What is its origin? What, for the live streams? For the live streams, it is Streamlabs, not Streamlabs. What's his name? Streambeats by Alpha Gaming, you may know, is a YouTube channel. They do stream safe music that you can use. So that's the music from there, and I was just like, I'm particularly like rock music, so I kind of like it using it. As for the actual videos themselves, they just come from, man, what did they come from? They came from one royalty website. I cannot remember for the life of me what one, but it came from one of the royalty-free websites to use. The Flying Persian. Hi Ryan, have you ever managed to make collapsed visibility work in when using the tree list view widget? It seems to stutter and not work whenever I do it. I haven't tried it in 5, but whenever I did ever try it in 4, I just hated it and never bothered with it because it just didn't work. Yeah, let's have a look at it in 5. So there's some things I haven't tested yet in 5, so I'm not entirely sure how they behave. But with the collapse, usually what I mean by collapse view is that it will hide it, but it will obviously close the gap between them. I need to give a list. How are you using this thing? Entry, list entries. Oh, I don't have a widget class I can put in there. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing, but I don't tend to like using the tree view. I usually just make it myself from scratch. I don't know, it's something to look into for UE5. I don't know what effort has gone into making it. Yeah, don't know. I'll have to experiment with that one. From Bit Toaster Game Studios. Hello, I wanted to get started in game development and wanted to learn to use Unreal Engine. I'm from God Up 3D Engine. What do you suggest a kind of genre game I could start off doing in UE for first game as learning experience? So I'd strongly recommend checking out my making your first game tutorial series. In there, I'll get to I'll show you how to do a first-person maze game. Now, maze games you may feel like are not really anything special, but what's really good about a maze game, and the reason why I've used it for so many years as a learning tool to teach people games, is that it is a great foundation because it teaches you level design stuff and things like that. But importantly, you go through things like interactions, collisions and things like that when making traps. And what's really good about it is expandable. So you finish like the tutorial series that I set up, and you can keep making more traps for it. You can make more puzzles for it. You can expand on it and go further and further and further until eventually you make a game like Resident Evil, which is basically what that is. It's a maze game, just with zombies in it. So I really recommend doing that as the first game. That's why I chose to do it as that for that genre for the that series. It's a really powerful one like that. It allows you just to experiment and keep adding new stuff to it. It really lets you go far with it. Oh, thank you for the donation, Brett. Hi, Ryan. I might have a question later, but I can't think of anything. By the way, my game teaser trailer will be done in August. Can't wait to share. Oh, I'm looking forward to you sharing it then. Thanks, yeah. Ahmed is asking, how do you make deformations like in cars for games like GTA or Matrix? So they're called soft body deformations, and out of the box, as far as I'm aware, Unreal doesn't support it. You get plugins that add on that feature, but I've yet to see it in Unreal. I could be wrong, but I've yet to see it in out of the box Unreal anyway. There are plugins on the marketplace you can get, which I would strongly recommend doing. Is just get a plugin to do it for you, and I'll go through the setup of how you actually accomplish that. But yeah, they're called soft body deformations. Do you have ADHD? I don't think so. As far as I'm aware, nope. Chris, hey there. How do I link like an event, let's say opening a door or can't leave an area or whatever, something completing objective, and then you can open a door and the power will come on. So you want to use like things like event dispatchers, use a level blueprint as well, that can help you with that sort of thing. That's the whole purpose of the level blueprint, is to help you make those sort of connections up. But if it's something common that you can have throughout your game in multiple places, I'd make it just use event dispatchers and tie it together like that. I'll do something similar with a tutorial video I've done with switches, so you can see that being used there. Ahmed is asking again, I was wondering, how do you make punching like in GTA when the animation perfectly punches the AI with no clipping? So that is a custom thing they made for GTA and Red Dead. It's, what was it called? I think it began with an E. Essentially, it's like IK physics-based animations with a bit of AI involved. So it's when you knock people down, they put their arms out to catch themselves falling and things like that. That's it, part of that system. But it is a proprietary bit of software that isn't part of Unreal. It's part of their engine. They don't use Unreal, they use their own one. So that's how they've done it. You could make your own using IK and physics and stuff like that. It's a lot of work. Endorphin, maybe. Yeah, I can't remember what it was called. I'm pretty sure it began with an E. Yeah. Fictional gaming. Have you ever thought about tackling the gameplay ability system, a gas system? Yes. Just a matter of time, really. That's all. Chris, you've seen objective tools and that stuff, but I'd like to know, for instance, you have to put the lights on when you go back through the level enemies have spawned. We can try and make something here in a minute. Do objective-based stuff. Thanks for joining us, English Mastery with Mark. Victor NR, in reality, how expensive is to cast? How much performance impact does it really have? You have to remember, I don't know how many, I must give a tally of how many times I've had to say talk about casting. But you have to understand casting is a tool for you to use, and it is very useful because it allows you to get class references that are you want to get the child version of that class reference, the specific child version of it. That's what casting's for. So it has a good place in development. Now, as for expensive, it is everything is relative. It is relatively expensive compared to, say, doing a sum, yeah, or accessing a function directly. Yes, it's more expensive than doing that because you're asking the computer to basically essentially transform and try something out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and goes back out. And there's a lot more steps involved, but it's relatively expensive. However, if you're going to just chuck it into a function, not a problem. You put it in a damage system, not a problem. The problem comes in when you use it for like frame related functions like tick or update animation. When you got in frame updated ones like that, then it becomes expensive because it's happening every single frame. So it's all relative. If you've got one of them going off here and there, and you have to keep in mind with computers, if something's happening every 1 second, that is over 1,000 times better than using like a tick or something like that. Yeah, it's 1 second is, although quick for us, it's actually quite long in computer terms. So don't fret about stuff like that if you want to use it for that. But don't worry about optimizing for cast and all that stuff. Like, be smart with it, obviously. So you'll see in some of my videos, especially the Fireteam ones, where there's a lot of references you have to get. I'll put them on begin play, so I'll get all my references via begin play and save those references. Because once you've saved them, that's it. You can promote them to variables. Once you've got that, you're fine. It doesn't have to do it again. Yeah, that's the best way of doing it. Okay. So let's go talk about like a objective based system that Chris is talking about, where I'd like to know how you can do something in a level to trigger something else in another level, or in another part of this level, for example. So the thing you want to have in here is like an interaction type based system. I'm not going to go through the whole process of making a whole interaction system with like line trace, things like that. I'm just going to do collision based ones. But let's say we have a button, okay? Button. And my button is going to be a simple cylinder. Like so. And I'm going to add a collision to it. And we'll do a sphere collision. There we go. Okay, something like that. And then what I'm going to do is on the event graph here is on active begin overlap is trigger, and we'll test to see who's overlapped it, and then trigger an event dispatcher on it. So we can do other actor is equal to, and if you want only the player character to activate this one, just put get player character. Otherwise, check it against a class if you want. And you put that into the branch. And then you call the event dispatcher. So over here we have on button pressed. Drag that out and put call. And that's it. Okay, so what that's going to do then is shout out and say that, hey, I've been pressed. You then make something else and that will just listen out for that button press. So for example, let's say we do a light. Okay? Do blueprint class, actor, light switch. And we'll just put in point light. And we'll make that not enabled. I'll just change visibility. There you go. Okay, so on the event graph, you need to tie it to a button. You need to know what button you want to tie it to. So a good way of doing it is to make a variable, and we'll say this button, and we'll say this is a button object reference. That one. But you want to make it editable. Okay, so you can change this thing per instance. And then on begin play, you take the button out, and you do a binding. You bind event on button pressed. And you can drag out from that custom event here. We'll do toggle light. And we'll just take the point light out and do is visible. I'll just toggle visibility, that'd be easier. Like that. Okay. So when I put into the world, let's say I put in the button here, and I put in this light here, like that. I hit play. Oh, I forgot. Oh, this thing. Okay. So when I walk over this, it'll. I'm not going to see it, are we? What I had a. Yeah, add a sphere to it, and then I'll do propagate the children. Why are you not working? Oh, whoops, silly me, I forgot. You have to make sure you actually set the button. So over here, we're going to make it editable. You have to tick and choose what button it is. So you do that, and now it works. Okay. Now we can tie multiple things to that button using the same system. You just give it a variable, what button it should be assigned to, and away it goes. If you want something in the level to happen, like say enemies to start spawning on something like that, you can do that as well. That's the point of the level blueprint. So if we open the level blueprint here, and if I click on the button, and we're going to go add event for button, not event, create reference to button. There we go, and do begin play, and we'll do a bind here. And we'll do a custom event. We say, let's say let's turn off the light. Not turn off the light. Let's make it so we launch the character. Okay, so we'd get player character, and then we'll do launch character. But this could be like spawn enemies, go to different level, queue cutscene, whatever you want. It really doesn't matter. Okay, and that's it. Okay, so we tie the reference to the button to an event dispatcher, which then triggers the launch character when I touch the button. So if I go over to it, okay. So you could do that trigger absolutely anything you may want to do, and that would like trigger maybe an objective that wants to fire off, or I say AI. Usually you want to spawn in. That could be anything really. But that's a good system to do stuff like that on. A level blueprint is a good place to put things that are going to be unique to the level. So something that deals with like level flow of the objectives of the level. That works the best for that. But yeah. But that's generally it. You've got a lot of options of how to achieve it, but that's a good way of doing it. Next question. Sorry, I must have missed a few. It's Shmulik. Do you have any Niagara videos? Yes, I've got a couple out there. Beginner one. I've recently done one for sparkles type thing. I'm gonna do more of them. I do like using Niagara, but I have to just make time to make more. That's all. Ahmed, do you have any idea how to get your game on PlayStation or Xbox store? Yes, you just go onto Xbox and PlayStation's websites, and they'll have a part on there where you can go and sign up to be a developer for them. I'll see if I can find it for you. I've done this myself for Fireteam actually, so we'll see how that goes. But for Xbox, you just go to ID Xbox. I think it's this one. No. There you go. Yeah, so you click on apply now, and you fill out the form, and they'll send you some emails and things like that. Say yes or no, and if once you've done that, you pitch your game to them. When they pitch your game, they'll give you a download license key for Epic. Download the APIs for Xbox Live, for example, or if it PlayStation be the PlayStation Network. And that's how you get things like access to Xbox Live services and testing things like that. They'll come in and they turn on all the API parts of this. Work with that, but that's how that works. Big Red, hi Ryan, are there any plans for the current inventory system series to include equipment slots similar to the character sheet from the old equipment series? No. You should be able to watch that and watch this and hopefully figure it out. Otherwise, the things will just get massive and massive and massive. No point. Mathoy, what's the difference between Event Dispatcher and Blueprint Interface? Okay, so an Event Dispatcher is when you want to do something when let's use a button example. My light knows it wants to do something when that button's pushed. It just doesn't know when it's going to be pushed. The button is agnostic to whatever it is it's meant to do. The button doesn't know what it's clicked to. It's just going to go up and down, be hit. Okay, it doesn't know anything about what its purpose is. The light does. So in that case, when we hit the button's basically going to scream out like, "Hey, I've been pushed," and anything that's been told to listen, like the light switch has, will listen out for that call, and then it will run off. So it basically it's listening all the time to see if something gets called. And yeah, and away it goes. The engine does come with a load of built-in event dispatchers already. Like example, the damage system. There's an event dispatcher system for that. So yeah, that's the point of that one. An interface is if you want to give multiple classes the same function, but that function has different functionality. So, for example, the most common one I'd make is an interact interface. My interaction with a banana is very different from an interaction with a door. I'm still pushing the same key, I'm still interacting with it, but the end result is going to be very, very different. With the banana, I'm going to eat it. With the door, I'm going to open it. I wouldn't have that coded together. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So that's where an interface comes in. It's when you want to attempt to use a function on something, and it has its own definition of that function. The only thing it has in common is the name of that function. So when you call interface, it just searches for the name, and if it's successful, it will run the function that's tied to it. So that's the difference of it. I find question. Nino K, thanks so much for doing this. I'm curious, how okay is it to take the game to completion using almost only blueprints? Is it okay to wait until I hit performance wall before I rewrite parts in C++? Yeah, you're totally fine. Fireteam is made entirely in blueprints. There's not a single C++ code in it. You can do quite a lot with blueprints. And another misconception is that it is going to be like, oh, its performance is going to suck and all that. Like, most games I've seen from independent people making games is that these things are not taxing. They're not trying to do like massive open world simulations of like epic proportions. So it doesn't need that finite optimization. Consoles and PCs are powerful enough where they can brute force most stuff. So you will be hard pressed to find for you to notice a difference between if you wrote the entire thing in C++ versus Blueprint. If you're comfortable with Blueprint and you make the full game in Blueprint and it works, that's fine. Leave it. As for performance wall, I wouldn't worry about hitting the performance wall. Wait till you get the whole game complete and then see where bits can be improved upon and optimized there. Most of the time, optimization comes down to things like sound and textures and things like that. Less so than actual code itself. Yeah. What else? But yeah. So you can make anything you want in Blueprint, pretty much. There's a few things that are limited in Blueprint that you can't do. Anything that's like server-based stuff can't really do in Blueprint yet. It's all that has to generally be C++. So that's like connecting to dedicated servers, doing calls to databases and queries like that. They tend to have to be C++ based. Just because they're so unique to the database you're connecting to or the server you're connecting to. But yeah. Queachus, how do you safely upgrade a UE4 project to UE5? So if I would always make a backup just in case. But if you want to run a game in run a project in UE5, when you launch Unreal 5, you'll come up with a thing going, do you want to open project? You should be able to pick one from there. Otherwise, what you do is showing folder here. Go to the project file here, and you go right click, and you can change what version of Unreal Engine it uses, and you get a little drop down. But make a backup first. Best way of doing that. Yeah. Primov is asking, I got problems integrating different animations within the animation blueprint, especially holding weapons correctly for different animations. Any tips or advice you can give? Sure, let's do a bit of animation blueprinting. It's been a good time since we've done something like that live. And I've got a few comments I want to talk about there, so I don't mind doing that. Just bring in some animations to use. Add these ones to it. I'm just adding the animation starter pack to it. Whilst we're doing this, I'll show you also how to re-rig it for different mesh things like that. Regulus, your question got skipped. Yeah, just put it in again. It goes past. I miss it. I don't know. I've only got a small window. Chat. I miss. Okay, so we've got all these animations here. Now, if you've got the latest Unreal 5 versions with the new mannequins, their skeletons are different. Fortunately, they've already built your IK rig systems for this. So I can click on all of these, for example. Right click. Add to actions. Oh, no. Oh, wait, no. They're not all animations, are they? All of them? Yeah, I think so. No. Take those out. What else I've got in here that's not an animation? There you go. All right, duplicate retarget animation sets, and then in the IK retargeter you can see ones they've already made. You got UE4 mani to UE5 mani. Click on that, and we choose a project file, and you go new mani. Click OK. Retarget. Done. So it's very quick and easy to get into the new mannequin system if you want to use the new mannequin for this. But now we have all these animations for this. Okay. Yeah. No, it's okay. So yeah, we're gonna do an animation blueprint. So the trick to animation blueprints is not to overcomplicate it. I've seen some bad animation blueprints. Do you want to choose this one? Yeah, so don't overcomplicate it, especially with a state machine. I've seen some horrendous state machines. The state machine you want to keep as pure as you can. Break your code apart. Don't keep it all together in like one node or one graph. Break it apart, spread it out. Makes it a lot easier to read, find problems and fix them, without having to worry about all sorts of crazy stuff happening. I'm going to call this one ground locomotion. I'll just call it ground locomotion. Not about ground locomotion. And in your state machine, you want it to be actual states. So like their first state would be idle typically. And next state would be like moving, right? What people don't really take advantage of is that inside of here, yes, you got idles, okay. Most people just put in like one thing, so idle rifle hip, for example. Okay, but what you can do is you can just make a variable in here. Do is aiming, and put that in here, and do blend poses by ball. And that'd be the ball. An idle rifle hip, that would be false there, and idle rifle hip, rifle iron sights would be true, and it goes like that. So I can now have both idles on here, and I can put crouching on there too. I can do all prone, whatever I want. I can do that here. I don't have to make a complicated state system like idle crouch, idle standing. You can make use of this. You can even put state machines within state machines. I can even put another state machine in here if I wanted to. Yeah, so you can layer it up like that if you want. But keep it simple. Keep it simple. So yeah, like you do things like that. And then if you want to do like switching of weapons and things like that, that also applies to the same sort of thing. Now, weapons are typically there's a load of different ways of doing it, but one thing you can do is do additive animations for weapons. So the way they hold their pistols and guns and all that are additive upon whatever gun they got equipped. So what an additive animation is basically you take the base animation and add on some transformations of the bones that match it. So for example, if I want to make let's go back to here. Say we got that going into there, okay. So we got let's say we got pistol versus, okay, so we've got pistol and we've got rifle hip, okay, so these two weapons types. If I go into idle pierce, no, it won't work either for this one. I'll tell you what, we've got this idle here, okay. So if I make hang on, I'm going to give it a state machine. I'll put this in here so demonstrate this. So idle, basic idle, like this, okay? So it's not doing anything. If I wanted to, though, I can add additive animation on top of it. So, for example, pistol, I can open this up. and I can make this an additive animation. Go to additive to mesh space, and you want to choose a selected animation scaled, and in there you want to choose the idle pose that they're going to be as a default. So idle, and it was idle. Okay. And hit save. Okay. So then on my animation blueprint now, I can do idle pistol like this, and you can see it's a different color now, and I can do apply additive to this. And we can plug that into there and compile that. Whoa, that one's gone well wrong. It doesn't help that these animations were made very, very differently. Mesh space. And then that one. There we go. Mesh space. then it'll work. So you can use this to add on different things, and this can also be switched out too. So this pistol animation here, I go. Let me just close Slack. Hang on. So this sequence player here, this sequence here could also be bound to a pin. So at the moment it's an idle pistol, but I could also make this idle rifle hip as well if I wanted. And I can make a simple like map, for example, based upon what weapon they got equipped. So for example, if I just go into here and to do that and make an enum quickly. Weapon. And make a new enumerator, make 2 of them. Got none, pistol, and rifle. Like that. And then on my animation blueprint, I can have a variable list for weapon idle. Make that weapon, which is the thing we just made. And I'll change that to a map, and the map could also then be this animation sequence here. So I'm just going to anim sequence. There it is. And I can now design over here on this side here. I can design what animation each one uses. So none, well, so opposite order. So rifle, we have idle rifle hip, for example. We have pistol, idle pistol, make sure I choose the right one. Yep. And then none will have none. Okay. And then I can just drag that out here. Yeah. And I want to find the particular weapon I've got equipped. Ooh. Plug in there. And that could be just that promoted to available. What's this? Go away. Right, it's available, and that would be currently equipped weapon. Or weapon type, whatever. But by default, it's none like that. But if I go to, let's make hip or rifle also a additive animation. Additive, mesh space, scaled, idle, save, and then on here, go down to rifle, yeah, rifle done, that's all, okay. So this currently equipped weapon I will change when I equip different weapons. I can change that to change this additive animation being applied to this. So for example, if I go to the default here and change it to pistol, it'll change to pistol. If I change it to rifle, it'll change to rifle, and so on and so forth. I can have different states tied into it and plugged into here. There's lots of really cool tools you can use in animation blueprints to make things a lot neater, tidier, and easier things to put together. So yeah, worth playing around and checking out different modes of doing this. As you can see, there's loads of different ways of doing it, not just idle on its own. And again, this could also be in a part of that state machine. Like this could just as be, I can take all this and put that in the state machine. And the state machine can also control what's going on across it. So I'll show you some tips for that. Hang on. Idle. I'll put that in there, and that's now all tidied away inside the state machine. Okay. And just need to plug it in. Like so. Okay. So you can do really cool things like that. Now, as I said, state machines also have really cool functions that people don't make use of. There are some really cool stuff in there. So let's talk about a few of these. So let's say, for example, we have idle going into moving. And vice versa, goes back as well. But then we have another one, which is dodging, okay? And you can go from dodging into from idle to dodging and moving to dodging, but dodging will always come back out into idle. Okay, so in here you can actually do some other things in here too. So for example, in my event graph, I could have a custom event in here to start dodge. I have a variable for this one. It's Boolean, and we'll call it one is dodging, and we'll just chuck that in there and do that to set that to true. And the state machine here, we can make the condition here be this is dodging, this one to be is dodging, and the out here can be automatic. So if I tick automatic rule base up top here, and if I put the animation of dodging in here, I don't have one, but if you put an animation dodging of in here, but don't make it loop, because if you put in the animation here, they loop by default. Turn off loop, and when you do that, when the animation is finished, the automatic rule will make it go back automatically. Now when it does that, I can click on this transition here. If I scroll down here, you've got these notifications: start transition event, end transition event, interrupt transition event. If I start a transition event, I'm going to call this one as end dodge and compile that. If I go back to my event graph, I can now search for end dodge, and I can now turn off the dodging like that, and that way I don't get stuck in a loop. So there's lots of really cool things, like even just those sort of things, like these little events here. So do check them out. Even like the actual events in here. Also, you can put other events on these. Some of them anyway. Oh, just here. Sorry, I'm going blind. Here, enter the event. So you can make things happen when they go into here. So maybe you want to say, okay, when they're dodging, they're invincible. Okay, so I can put it in here. Is dodging state. Okay. When I enter it, and then go to the event graph, I can do is dodging state. I get try get pawn owner. And I can do can be damaged and set that to false. So whilst in that state, they can't be hurt. And when they come back out of that state, which is using this one, I can just put that back in. Do that. Take it back on. So you can use animation blueprint in so many cool ways. And it's very underutilized. There's lots of really cool things you can do in it. So do play about it, do experiment with it. And what's really nice about the animation blueprint, there is tons of room for experimentation. You can really do play about with it. There's no fixed way of achieving goals. There's some recommended ways, there's some bad ways, but there is no correct, solid way of doing things, okay? Like the way of doing dodging like this is something new that I've been doing recently, as it makes it very simple, breaks out very easily. It takes it off of my player character. The player character just says start dodging, and it will just do this code, and off it goes and just do the dodging. And I've got it all nicely tucked away on here instead of having it everywhere else. So yeah, really nice, really simple, and lots of fun stuff in here you can mess about with. And there are all different types of blends as well, not just the ones we've seen here. You got all sorts of blends based on enums as well, so you can do blend by the E weapon if you want as well. Like that. Yeah, you can do different poses for different things. So you may have a state machine for pistol, may have a state machine for rifle, may have a state machine. Like, again, there's loads of ways to achieve the same goal. So yeah, experiment with it, try it out. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for showing. How would you apply additive to an aim offset? Aim offsets are additive. That's by their nature, they are additive animations. So you need to add. You can only add additive animations to an aim offset because an aim offset is an additive animation, and then you can apply it just like you would do here. Just drag it out and away it goes. Sinner Big A, I have an issue with removing widgets used. Oh, first of all, thank you, Nino, for the donation. Much appreciated. This question is from Cena Big A. I have a question. Have an issue with removing widget from using remove from parent. I wonder what's my problem. It's not working, or is it just a bug? Without obviously looking at your code, it's hard to say. But one common problem I've seen is the misunderstanding of what remove from parent is. A lot of people misunderstand it to be meaning remove from the screen. That's not what it means. It means it's going to remove it from whatever widget that is actually inside of it already. So it works in like how you expect it for some things, like for example a menu pop-up. If I click on remove from parent for the pop-up there, its parent is the viewport, so therefore it will remove it from the viewport. However, if I've added that pop-up into another container which has got a blurred background and so forth, it will remove that widget from the blurred background, but not the blurred widget itself. So that's the first thing. The other question is the other point is be wary that if you do remove from parent and you've got a reference to it, they'll only remove the latest reference of that one. Be careful that you haven't added multiple on top of each other. If you've added loads on top of each other, it'll only remove the latest one, because the chances are you're using a saved promoted to variable of that menu option. So it is removing it, you don't notice it because there's loads underneath it too. I've seen your question, Brett. I'll get to it in a second. First, I want to answer a question here. Right, I've lost it. Where was it? Oh, I don't know where it went. I can't remember who it was either. Okay, sorry. Sorry, Brett. Had a question about control rig. If you get a chance, what was your question about control rigs, Brett? It won't let me scroll up for whatever reason. So let me know what your question is, Brett, about control rigs. I mean, while I do that, I'm gonna load up the control rig. Now there is one already in here for 5. If it's in here somewhere. Yeah, control rig. Okay. Hi, I've Fox Studio. What was your question about control rigs, Brett? Found it. Aha, there you go. Have you used the control rig much? I do my animation Blender and export, just trying to see how much of a processor can be done right in UE5. I mean, it's not much. It's not too dissimilar. From using it like in like Blender or Maya or whatever you may be using. But what's really useful about the control rig in Unreal is that you can see the effect of it right there and then, and also you can make it you can make the animations also do stuff and sync stuff up in here with the sequencer very nicely. But how you actually use the animations you make from this, so let's do a very simple animation. I'm no animator, by the way, so forgive me. Just going to drag this one out. Just say there. Do that. So we've got that movement there. Go to this arm here. Do. Like that. Okay, so I've got a very simple animation going on there. Okay, nothing special at all. But you can actually export these animations as actual animations. Not export them, but save them as actual animations. If I can remember where it is. If you go, is it here? No, where was it? Try to remember where it was. Somewhere around here. Yeah, you just right click on the actual mannequin itself. And you can do bake animation sequence, or you can bake pose if you're doing poses. So it's good for posing. You can like pose the character with its fingers around the guns and things like that and bake poses out. But you can bake animation sequence out like this. And we'll just put it in the root here. And you get this come up. And sure, export animation set. And if I go to the content drawer now, into, there you go, I don't know where it went, but there you go, there's the animation. So I can use that actually in game. So you can use like the sequencer to really control things quite nicely. But yeah, there you go, that's one really like how you could use it. It's not too dissimilar from using like Blender or things like that. You're still grabbing bones and moving them out and stuff. But yeah, so you just right click on the part that you want to do here, and it's very useful if you've got like two characters doing animations together, like one's grappling one another. You can just export them both out at the same time and you get two synced up animations already. But yeah, iFox, can you make a revisit of the AI series for UE5 soon, please? Yes, it is going to. I started filming it the other day. I need to finish filming it. But yes, it is coming, and it's zombie based, so you can see a lot of the stuff there. Yeah. Road DUK. Oh, sorry, hat. Sorry. Question is, what can cause desynchronization and strange behavior of clothes when using the master pose component? By clothes, do you mean the cloth system, like physics cloth system? Is that what you mean there, Hat? Not in armor. Okay. So the way to treat armor is that armor is not something that goes on top of the character. It's something that is the character, typically. So for example, the chest piece isn't a thing that goes over a normal chest, like empty chest model. It is the chest model. It is that model of the chest. So you'll see bits of the skin showing on part of the armor piece, and that's how it's designed. There are some people who have made armor sets in the marketplace that I've seen that do conform to the actual mannequin properly. The downside to that method is that you need to make sure that they are rigged correctly and mapped to the bones correctly, otherwise you will get clipping. So yeah, you got to look out for things like that. But they are the mesh. And if you get desynchronization, it probably means that you got meshes that are using different skeletons, or the model wasn't cut up correctly, so like the wrist was cut there for one part of the model design, and then it was cut down here for the other model design, so there's going to be a gap in some cases. So do make sure that they are all in sync with each other. English mastery remark: in my game, players can choose their species, character blueprint, then choose their character's class. How to create a class list that assigns spells, levels, etc. like a categories. Okay, right, yeah. I mean, honestly, I would have done it the other way around, where I would have had they choose their class, and that would be the different character blueprints, and then they change their species, which is just a model change. That's a lot easier, a lot cleaner. However, if you're going to keep it the way you've suggested here, a data table can be useful for this. It'll fetch all the information you need for that class. Child actors, you may have all their stuff for the class as a child actor and just chuck it onto the character, and it will have all that functionality there. Totally doable way of doing it. So, for example, let's do an example of this. Let's say I've got actor here. I'm gonna do class, whatever, and then you make a child of this, and this would be warrior class. Make another child, mage class, and so on and so forth. And then on the player character, which I don't have, you can add a child actor to it. It doesn't have to be visual. To be a child actor, it can be non-visual too. And you can say this is the class of the character. And over here, you can just set what class it's going to use. And you can obviously change this in code as well. So it can be a mage, for example. Boom. And now I can get access to all the class stuff from that mage. I can get access to all that stuff I put on there. So you can do stuff like that, for example. Again, there's a few ways of doing it. BGR Gushi, is the fire team tutorial going to show level design? Probably at some point. Yes, it will do at some point. And also follow-up question from BGR Gushi: how do you replicate a local save file that has been loaded to the server and replicate to a client? You're going to see an example of that in the inventory system series that's currently coming out. Episode 9 and 10 handle that, so you're going to see that being used. But yeah, essentially it is that you check that the server version only loads up the server's local save file, and then it passes back that information to everyone else. So it reads it back out like story time. It tells a story to everyone else what it has. Okay, one last question. Hey Ryan, I want to migrate my levels from UE4 project to my UE5 project. If I migrate them, the original levels will be removed from the UE4 project. I don't want to damage the originals. They won't remove them. And if you are, and there's a big reg suggests as well, make a backup. Always make a backup. But when you do migrate, it doesn't cut and copy them over. It just copies them over. It doesn't move them all across. By migrate, hopefully you are doing this, not doing it from an explorer. So actually go into your and take the map and migrate it that way around, wherever it is. Yeah, migrate. Do it that way, because that'll bring along with it all of the items too. But yeah. Anyway, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has joined us live tonight for question time. Sorry I didn't answer everyone's questions. There were a lot of them, but don't worry, we'll be back here next Wednesday, hopefully, to do another live stream too. We'll be responding back to more, returning back to more live streams hopefully soon. It's just been a kind of weird, manic year of just absolute nightmare stuff going on in real life. So hopefully things are going to settle down and we can return to Saturday live streams as well. I want to finish that Bomberman retro remake and do lots of things there. But a few things are coming out really, really cool and really exciting. First of all, I want to say a massive thank you to all my patrons. We have reached over 1,000 Patreon members, so thank you so much to everyone who's supporting me over there. It really does help out because this is my full-time gig, so every penny, every pound, every dollar matters. It really does help a lot. Helps me put food on the table, feed the kids, and be able to make content for you guys. And also, speaking of content, for Patreon members, Patreon basically has a poor layout of how it works. So if you go to my website, ryan.com, if you're a Patreon member, and click on the login with Patreon, you can get a preview of what's coming as a Patreon member on the website. It's still in development. There's still stuff missing from it and still working on it. But basically, we're looking at redesigning the format for how you can access course materials in a nice, organized manner. So rather than having to search for my YouTube channel or searching for the Patreon blog list, it'll be organized and do all different things there with extra material, extra like information, frequently asked questions, things like that, all exclusive to Patreon members. So that'll be something that we'll go through. I'll do a demo and show people how to use and move around it, but that'll be coming there too. Fireteam, the newest patch from Fireteam will be coming soon. Player account dropped off obviously because it's hard to get into games, so I've made it easier for people to get into games, the latest patch. So I need to work on that, and it's one bug that's really annoying me. I need to fix. So when I get time to finish it, I'll finish that off and upload that patch. And I'll organise a play date, and we can all play Fireteam together and have a bit of a laugh. And speaking of Fireteam, Chapter 1, Episode 1 released today on YouTube. If you want to watch the whole of Chapter 1, the whole of Chapter 1 is now available on Patreon right away. So check it out if you're a Patreon member. I think there's 6 or 7 episodes in Chapter 1. If you're a Patreon member, look out for Chapter 2 starting soon, hopefully. You get, again, I'm going to try and give you the whole chapter in one fell swoop. So hopefully that will work like that. But yes, that'll do for me. I'm going to go get some sleep. Have a great evening. Look after yourselves, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks for watching. Make sure you stay subscribed, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.